If you're looking for someone to change your life, I can be the one who could change your life. If you're looking for someone who can change your life, baby, I can be the one that can change your life.
Well, this is part, I think, 3 to the video. So in this part, I didn't go to the trap house again, but I'm gonna explain like what really happened with Kay after, because basically we stopped being friends. At least, this is gonna sound bad, but he probably still thinks that we're friends, but I blocked him on everything, but he doesn't know that somehow. I don't know. So at the time, he was flirting with me, and I was in a relationship at the time. I still am. And I just don't like when people flirt with me. It makes me feel uncomfortable. And also, I thought of him as a friend, so that's just, no. Like, whenever I would see him going to the train, going to school or whatever, he would hug me in like a inappropriate way, you know, just like touching places that he shouldn't be touching. I assumed he did it by accident at first, but then, you know, when I put that together and the flirting together, I realized he was just bugging out. His memory was also pretty bad for some reason. Like, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I'm thinking that the people that he was with laced him, because he was always smoking, because he's depressed a lot. I'm always depressed a lot. That's something we had in common as friends. So I don't know if the things that, so I don't know if like what his friends gave him, like the weed his friends gave him, was laced or not. It probably was, because he just wouldn't act normal. I don't know how I wasn't laced whenever me and him smoked, but he just doesn't act the way he normally did before he started hanging out with them. And then the more and more he was with them, the more weirder he would get. Well, he would slur his words. He wouldn't really speak clearly, as if he was drunk or something, but I knew he wasn't drunk because he doesn't drink that much. And he would tell me he wasn't drunk, and he would have no reason to lie about that, even though drunk people lie a lot, but that's not the point. Okay, so the reason why I said I think he's laced is because he would just have a really messed up, cloudy memory, and he would just do a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense. And before, he was always like a silly person, but you could tell now he's actually being serious, like he doesn't know what's going on, like he's really not confused all the time. It's like he's not fully there, like he's under, like he's on something else. One time, me and my boyfriend were walking in that area that he was in, that he sells drugs at. He saw my boyfriend and was just like, "Oh, is this your boyfriend?" And I was like, "Yeah." So he said hi to my boyfriend, gave him a handshake, and then gave me a hug. He kind of touched my butt. My boyfriend didn't notice that. I noticed it, but I thought it was an accident, and then he walked away. Then about 3 days later, he sees me again, and he's just like, "Oh, is this your boyfriend?" Because I was walking with my cousin. And my cousin and my boyfriend look nothing alike. So he asks, "Oh, is this your boyfriend?" I'm just like, "No, this is my cousin. My boyfriend is the guy that you met the other day that I said was my boyfriend." Oh, also one time I was sitting at home. I can't speak English. One day I was sitting in my room doing something, and he randomly called me out of nowhere. He was just like, "Hey, baby." I don't know why he said that. I hung up the phone. Another day I was walking by myself. He saw me. And before you guys ask why do I keep going to that area, because like I live in New York City, but I live in a part where there's no trains around me, like the subway isn't around me. So I have to, so basically I live in between like 3 stations, and only one of those stations I could take a bus to, and a bus is cheaper than the Uber. And I don't have my license yet. I'm getting that on Tuesday if I don't fail the test. So yeah, and that one station I could take the bus to is the one K always sells drugs in front of. That's when he's always at with his very devious friends, and that's why. The other day I was walking by myself over there. He saw me, he stopped me. He was just like, oh, where are you going? Give me a hug first before you leave. Then he walked me to the bus stop. So I said I was going to the Bronx. So he walked me to a certain bus that goes from Queens to the Bronx. The Q44, screw it, I don't even care if y'all know. And at the bus stop, he was just like, oh, it looks like you're gaining weight. And I was just like, deadass, call me fat now. And he was just like, no, it looks like your butt's getting bigger, like you look like you're getting fit. And I was just like, then he did something else that was like, he did something else inappropriate like that. I forgot. Listen, my memory's bad, don't judge me. That's not the point though. Kind of is the point, but it's not the point at this very moment. So then another time I was walking with my cousin, who's a boy, and I was walking with my other cousin, who's a girl, who he met before multiple times actually. He met her multiple times. Yeah, so me and my two cousins, the girl and the boy, were walking in that area. He once again saw me, gave me a weird hug, and asked, oh, is this your boyfriend? And I was just like, no, this is my cousin. You met like a week ago, again. And he was just like, oh. And he was just like, oh, okay. Then he kind of just like continued smoking with the weird people he'd be hanging around. And I even have other friends from high school that I still talk to who would say they see K and they're worried about him because the way he acts, he just acts like he's not okay. So, you know, like multiple times I tried talking to him, I was just like, oh, so your friends, are they treating you okay? And he would kind of just completely ignore my question, ignore the small talk, and he would say stuff like, oh, you're really beautiful. Oh, you should get another boyfriend. You should get somebody better. You should date a coolie guy.
Thank you.
By the way, he was coolie, which is, I don't know if every country says that, but in Trinidad, like that means, it means you're Caribbean, but you're of Indian descent. That's the best way I can explain it. Because, you know, he's also Trinidadian, but he's like Indian Trinidadian. My dad's black Trinidadian. I'm just pale, I don't know why. Whenever he would talk about stuff like that, because I almost missed the part. So whenever he would talk about stuff like that, I would just stop texting him. Then I'll try texting him again, trying to help him, trying to say, hey, how are you? Are you feeling okay? He would start wilding out again. I would just, again, stop texting him. But then one day, he called me, not on some weird shit. He actually called me and had a conversation with me. He was saying that in about 2 weeks, he's gonna go to Canada to visit his family, because family's from there, some of his family. And he was saying that he doesn't want to bring all of his clothes to Canada because he has to pay extra money for the plane to carry extra bags. And he was saying he doesn't want to leave it home because he has a little brother that's like maybe 16, 17. And his little brother would try to wear his stuff, and he had like designer clothes apparently. The way he made it seem, I thought it was designer, but it wasn't. It was just normal stuff. So he asked me, can he bring a bag of his clothes to my house and just keep it there to make sure like it doesn't get messed up. That way he doesn't have to pay extra money for luggage to bring onto the plane, and that way his little brother won't wear his stuff and mess it up. And I was just like, okay, sure. So I gave him my address. That's where I first fucked up.
Now you see now, you done fucked up, you know that, don't you?
I
See what I'm saying?
I thought.
That's what I'm saying, that you done fucked up now, you know that, don't you?
He took the bus to my house, gave me a duffel bag and a bomber jacket, and it smelled like mad weed and Fonzo. I don't know what I expected it to smell like, but that's what it smelled like. So he was just like, okay, so don't wear it, don't mess it up. And I was like, I can't even fit what you wear, I'm mad short, that's not even gonna work. Gave me his stuff. He hugged me weirdly again and then walked away. So throughout like a month, he would just be randomly texting me, you know, flirty shit again. And I kept telling him, okay, stop. I don't think of you in that way. And I have a boyfriend. And you're just being weird. So just stop.
I'm Michael Jordan. Stop it. Get some help.
I think one day I really got tired of him and I was just like, okay, so when do you want your stuff back? And for some reason, he never opened a message on Snapchat. He never responded to me because we usually message each other on Snapchat. I texted his number because he has an iPhone. It didn't send with like the blue thing. It eventually sent as a text message. Figured he was ignoring me. And yeah, so he didn't answer me and I didn't want to talk to him anymore. So I was honestly about to sell his stuff, but my cousin was just like, no, you just keep it. My cousin was just like, the stuff that he has, it wouldn't really be worth a lot of money anyways. Because I didn't want to talk to him anymore. He was making me feel weird and he wasn't answering me when I asked him, does he want his, like, when does he want his stuff back? So I eventually blocked his number because I assumed he was ignoring me. And by the way, I checked the bag and it actually was a bunch of basic like shirts and jeans and boxers. Cause I had to check it, cause he told me not to open the bag. I opened it anyways cause I just, first of all, I felt like his actual story as to why I had to hold this stuff didn't make any sense. So I kind of assumed it was crack in there or something, but it wasn't. It was just shirts. So yeah, I blocked him about July or August. On October, one of his friends texted me on Snapchat and was just like, hey, so Kay wants his stuff back. And yeah, he just told me to tell you that he wants his stuff back and for some reason he can't get in contact with you. And I was like, oh, I mean, I texted him before and he didn't answer me. And then his friend didn't respond. Me and his friend had this conversation when I was on the train. I was coming home. Me and my boyfriend my boyfriend was taking me home. So, you know, we get off the train at that one stop. We walk to the bus stop for the bus that would take me to my house. And we walk to another, because there's a lot of buses and trains in that area. So we walked to another bus stop that had a bus that would take us to the mall because I had to go to Walmart. I had my hood on, like I was wearing a hoodie. We were just standing there breathing. And we were talking about something. All I hear behind me is somebody scream, "Word to my mother, I know that's not you." So I slowly turn around and it's Ken. So I look around him and it's just like mad of his trapped ass friends just just staring at me. And then, you know, Kay is just pissed as hell, being loud as hell. Some old people at the bus stop that was just staring at us, they got up and walked away. Because I guess they thought we were about to fight or something. I don't know. And my boyfriend just looked really confused the whole time. He didn't know what was happening. I don't think he remembered who Kay was at that point, because they met each other in like June and this was like in October. Because I had Kay's stuff for like a while, like 2 months, and he just wasn't answering me. And I was just like, oh, hi. And Kay was just like, do you know how long I've been trying to get in contact with you? And I was like, no. And my boyfriend still looked very confused, looking at me, looking at me, looking at Kay, looking at me again, looking at Kay again, just confused as hell. And Kay was just like, okay, so I need my stuff back. And I was just like, oh, I mean, I texted you asking you when you want it, but okay. And Kay was just like, okay, good, so we're going to your house right now. And then when he said that, he like got closer to me, he got in my face. And I backed up. And his friends in the back were laughing. And I was just like, see, I'm not going to my house right now. I have to go somewhere, so no, you're not. And he was like, no, I'm going to your house right now. And then he got closer to me. And I was just like, no, you're not going to my house right now because I have somewhere to be right now. And I guess at that point, my boyfriend kind of understood what was happening. So he like walked up to Kay and like he stepped in between me and Kay and was staring at Kay because my boyfriend's like, he's wild tall. And Kay is just like, maybe like 5'8". My boyfriend's like 6'3" or something. And then Kay was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna text you later and just let me know what time I can come. And I was just like, okay. So then the bus came anyway. So I was just like, yeah, I have to get on this bus right now. So I'm gonna talk to you another time. And he was just like, oh, okay. So I got on the bus. My boyfriend got on the bus. So after I come back from Walmart, I'm in my house and Kay texts me. Kay was just like, what's your address? Because my old phone broke. So that's why I probably didn't answer you before. And I was like, wow. Because at this point, I done blocked him just for his conversation. Just so he get his stuff back and just leave me alone. Because that whole time I was trying to avoid that area. So I always had to call an Uber to another train. And that was money. And I'm not working at this very moment. So that was just a lot of money. I didn't give him my address because I live in like a 2-family house apartment. It's like an apartment building basically. Not a building, but like a complex. I don't know how to describe it. Like, you know on TV how you see those motels near the that's like right next to the highway, how there's like, that's not even a good description. Okay, I live in a 2-family house and they're like all connected. It's like a complex basically. So I gave him the address to a specific apartment that's like probably 5 doors down from me. And he was just like, oh, and I was just like, yeah, so what time are you gonna come? He never answered me. At this point, it was like 11 p.m. He still didn't answer me, so I just went to sleep. I woke up the next day and he texted me. He was just like, yo, where were you? I was standing outside your house waiting for you to bring my stuff out. And then I was calling your name. I was throwing rocks at your window. And you still didn't come outside. And I was just like, oh. I mean, I was asleep, so I don't know. I heard the lie real quick. It's like, why didn't you tell me you were outside? He was like, oh, my phone's still broken. And I was like, so why didn't you tell me when you left your house? And he was just like, oh, I don't know. So that day, he was like, when I get to your house, I'm gonna knock on the door. And I was like, don't knock on the door. My dad's gonna beat my ass. Again, I never lied, because that wasn't my house, so just no. So he texted me when he was leaving. I used Google Maps to like properly and perfectly time when he would be like at that address I gave him. So at that exact time, I left my apartment, walked to that apartment, was standing outside as if I lived there, and I saw him like walking down the block coming from the bus stop. So I walked up to him. I was like, hey, here, take your stuff. And he was just like, okay, bye, I'll see you later. It was just that simple. Then as soon as he turned his back, I just like walked back into my house. Cause I already told my mom about this. Like, it's just a part of him being weird, the people that he hangs out with, and him needing his stuff back. And she was just like, if I come home and all the furniture and the TV is missing, I'm gonna beat your ass. Because she assumed that we were gonna get robbed, but she probably wasn't wrong about. We probably would have, but yeah. So he got his stuff back. I went back to my house. He doesn't know where I live. My boyfriend still hates the whole place. I still hate this whole place. I still see him every now and then. He still acts like he's on drugs. And now I need a new drug dealer. And I know to never go to a trap house ever again. Yeah, so unless he does anything else stupid, this should be the last story time of me going to a trap house. Hopefully this is the last time.
And I know that you're young and you're filled with life. Ain't no need to be ashamed, I don't judge nor buy. If you're looking for someone who can change your life, ain't no need to cry, baby, wipe your eyes.